All right. Last NFC division before we get into the AFC. The NFC East, the one I've been trying to avoid the entire time because it usually creates the most controversy. This is probably my hottest division, I would say, when it comes to the hot takes.
I see.
Yeah, every single one has a hot to medium ranking onto it. 3 out of the 4 have hot rankings on it. So we can go ahead and start off with the reigning, defending Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, where I'm going to say that the defense that ranked first in the NFL, 18.1 points per game allowed, 5th in pass defense, I think they're going to take a step back for one reason and one reason only, and I think that there is going to be a small, minuscule sophomore slump from their 2 sophomore corners, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. So I think there's going to be a step back for those guys right there. And I think it's going to have the Eagles allowing 3,700 total passing yards over the entire year when they didn't even allow 3,000. 3,700 this past year would put them bottom 10. And I think that's potentially where they are going to rank. I think there's going to be a step back from their linebacker out there. I think there's going to be a step back from their corners. I think the defense is going to be solid still, and the offense is going to be doing their thing with all the weapons that they have over there. Obviously, Saquon and AJ and Devonta Smith and their offensive line and Dallas Goedert and everyone, except for a couple of exceptions. But for the most part, I still think this is going to be a good team. I have them winning the division still, being number 1 in the conference still. But I do think that their defense, their corners specifically, take a step back.
They spent the offseason hanging out with Deron Bland, huh? Sophomore slump?
Sophomore slump, man. It happens.
Hey, do you know what hasn't happened in 20 years?
What's that?
The same team won this division back-to-back years.
That's true.
So I'm qualifying this as a spicy take. The Eagles win the division for the second year in a row, snapping a 0-for-20 streak over the last 20 years. Their defense is fine. Their offense is unstoppable. And they pretty much have this division wrapped up by week 12.
With the exception of the Commanders, I think, are the only ones that have real contention into competing. I think that's it. I think the other 2 don't have a shot at winning the division. Not at this point.
Yeah, you know what? Swapping out Deebo Samuel for Scary Terry doesn't impress me much. So we'll see how it goes for the Commanders this year.
Well, let's go ahead and continue on with another hot take for me. I think that that Terry McLaurin is either off of the team before the season starts or by midseason. And if he is even on the team, I think he has a bad year where he drops 7, 8+ passes this next year, which would be astronomical for a guy like that. I think he's not going to. Anytime guys hold out and they go into the season, they usually don't do super well. And that's not because they got paid. It's because they're not practicing. They're not with the team. They're not doing their job. And because of that, usually the people that do that, by the time the season starts up, it doesn't bode well. We saw it last year. We saw it the year before that. We saw it the year before that. We've seen it the year before. It happens over and over again. So I'm not hoping injury on Terry McLaurin because that is usually the direction it goes. I think he's closer to a bad year than an injury-filled season because that's not what I want for any of the players. So I'll say bad year over that.
I'm going to continue to hitch my wagon to players that I bang the table for during the draft process. And the Browns released their depth chart this past week and had Shador at number 4, which I think is a little bit of a joke.
That's insane.
And they just signed another quarterback today. So I don't really know what's going on down there, but
they don't.
I know I was right about Jaden. I know I was right about Jaden Daniels. And even though the Eagles corners hung out with Deron Bland this offseason and they're going to take a step back because they were sipping on his Kool-Aid, Jaden Daniels spent 0 time with CJ Stroud this offseason. So there will be no sophomore slump for him. He is going to finish top 5 quarterback statistical categories, despite the fact that the win-loss total overall won't be as great as we're hoping. The production and stats will be there from Jaden Daniels.
That's another one that could compete with Kyler for the rushing title for quarterbacks. But I think it surprised a lot of people how much Jaden didn't run this last year, even though he has the ability. So it's almost like, when is he going to break out that ability to the full potential? But also, Jaden showed he didn't have to do that. He doesn't have to be this electric guy who lights the league on fire with his legs. He does it with his arm, and he showed that last year. And I'm with you. I think he's very possible to do it again. I just had to back up the sophomore stuff, obviously, with the CJ Stroud stuff last year, and I had to reel it back in because I got excited about CJ. So kind of took a step back. I'll let you take the reins on that one.
And before Texans fans get mad at us for this, we know that every wide receiver that suited up for you guys last year was hurt. It's not a CJ Stroud ain't it, or he flashed his first year and he doesn't have the talent. We know he has the talent. We're just talking about statistical production here. So, Giants?
Yeah. I got a medium one. Russell Wilson throws fewer than 15 touchdowns, and he gets benched midseason for Mr. Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart's going to be absolutely starting by the end of the season. I don't think it's going to be 1 or 2 games. I don't think it's going to be like Penix last year. I think it's a legitimate, potentially half or more games than Russell Wilson. I don't think he's going to perform well. We know what Russ can do. And you do it with a less talented roster, I don't think it's going to go over very well, because unless Malik Neighbors just goes out of his mind and scores 15 touchdowns for Russell Wilson, that's the only way that he gets that. And Malik Neighbors might quite literally have 1,000 yak yards and a total of 1,500 yards this next season. Jesus, man. Am I hinting at yours?
Russell Wilson is done. He's atrocious.
Yep.
But the Giants' defense is good enough that the Giants make a massive swing in the trade market. And your leader in quarterback starts for the New York Giants this year is not Russell Wilson. It is not Jackson Dart.
Deshaun Watson. It's who?
Kirk Cousins to Malik Neighbors.
Oh, wow.
That is my prediction with New York Giants this year.
Did
you say Deshaun Watson? Colin Kaepernick.
I think they both have I think they have the same chance at this point to come back. Yeah.
When that tweet goes out every year, Colin Kaepernick is still training and is ready for a comeback in the NFL, even though he hasn't played in the NFL in 17 years. Like, if I was running that social account, I'd be like, I'm not typing this out and sending this shit anymore.
No.
Okay?
Doesn't get clicks at this point.
We're not doing this, okay? Johnny Manziel is not coming back to the NFL. Like, no, it's not happening, okay? I love Johnny Manziel.
Right.
It's not happening, man. I wish the Cowboys had drafted him. That'd have been so much better for the timeline than paying Dak and having him have a $78 million cap hit next year. But I digress. Kirk Cousins, New York Giants, Malik Neighbors.
I like it just because obviously he's QB2 right now in Atlanta, and I think you and I are both on the same page where we think that Penix can have a good season. I'm on board with the Penix thing 100%. So I don't think Kurt's going to start again in Atlanta unless, God forbid, injuries come about for Penix. I think his time there is done. So having him move on to elsewhere, it's a real possibility. And New York really isn't that outrageous. Or Deshaun Watson.
I tried to not have too many negative predictions this year just for players, because I want everyone to stay healthy and everyone to have a great year. But Russell Wilson can just pack his shit up and go home. I'm tired of him.
I'm with you.
So,
moving on to
you know what makes me happier than anything? Do you know who has been at 49ers practice this offseason a bunch and hasn't been to one Seahawks practice? Richard Sherman. He's a 49er guy at heart.
No, he is.
Forget you and your Legion of Boom. All right. Let's move on past Russell Wilson.
You and I have...
That's the whole division, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's one more that I got indoctrinated into, and I've been forced.
Oh, the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep, at my heart.
We're them boys.
I think you and I have one of the same players in our predictions for the Cowboys. That was one of the ones that we did talk about. The Cowboys entered the offseason with the question of who's going to run the ball, and they exited the offseason with the exact same question. But they did pick up another receiver. And I think they're going to throw the ball a lot, especially with the defense being potentially shaky, especially at the secondary position. And who knows what the hell's going on with Mike at this point. I think George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb have explosive seasons to the point where they both have 1,100-yard years. Both of them, not 1,000. I think both of them have 1,100-yard years. At the very least, I think CeeDee's going to have more than that because CeeDee is CeeDee and he's going to command a lot of it. CeeDee's going to lead the team in receptions. Pickens is probably going to be somewhere around the 75 to 85 point. That's just where he lives at in those long bomb situations. But I think he's going to touch roughly around 1,100 yards, both of them. So yes, Dak is going to have damn near 5,000 yards passing because they don't have a choice because we're going to be coming back from down by a lot every single game, and our running game is non-existent. I think both those guys are going to have great years.
Yeah, my prediction for the Cowboys is that George Pickens leads you guys in touchdowns and receiving yards. Not receptions, but touchdowns and receiving yards. If you look at the offense as a whole, if you look at the tight end, the wide receiver group, and reality is we know Dak can run the ball a little bit. Sometimes he runs too far and the clock runs out in a playoff game, but hopefully he's learned from those mistakes. And if you look at what NFL teams did last year with the resurgence of the quarterback or the running back, I'm surprised that you guys didn't invest more at the position. You had the opportunity last year. There was a ton, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. There was a ton of options to get a running back. Not as many this year, but who knows? Maybe just throwing the ball 50 to 60 times a game is the way for the Cowboys to get back into postseason contention this year. Either way, I think George Pickens have a hell of a year.
Yep.
Hopefully he doesn't have the Steelers curse of a wide receiver that leaves the Steelers and then ruins the entire dynamic of the next team he goes to because he's a psycho case. Martavis Bryant and the likes. I won't even mention the other guy because he's a clown. Well, you guys had Martavis, though, so maybe the streak is broken. I don't know. He never got off the practice squad, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I think George Pickens has a big year with the star on his helmet.
Yeah,